All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a leadership philosophy that was born on the battlefield, but trust me, its lessons apply to, well, pretty much every single one of us. We're breaking down extreme ownership from former Navy SEAL commanders Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, that quote right there, it really sets the stage perfectly. It tells you right away that what we're about to talk about isn't some business school theory. No, this stuff was forged and tested when the stakes were literally life and death. So where do we even begin with a topic this big? Well, we have to start at the absolute heart of it all, the one single idea that everything else is built on. And that's this radical, almost relentless take on accountability. And here it is, extreme ownership. The key word here is everything, and I mean everything. This isn't just about taking the blame for your own mistakes. Nope, it's about owning the entire outcome. If your team fails to execute a plan, that's on you. If the whole mission goes sideways, yep, also on you. There are no excuses, period.
Okay, what's so powerful about this slide is the mental shift it shows you. You know, our first instinct, our human gut reaction when something goes wrong is to ask what went wrong, which, let's be honest, usually turns into who went wrong. But extreme ownership forces a totally different question. How will I fix it? See that? It instantly flips the script from finding blame to finding a solution. And that's the only thing that actually moves you and your team forward.
Okay, so if that's the big idea, the core philosophy, how do you actually do it? What's the system behind it? Well, that's where these 12 core principles come in. They're what bring the whole concept to life and make it practical.
Now, don't just look at this as a list. Think of it more like a leadership ecosystem. Every single one of these principles feeds into the others. For example, no bad teams, only bad leaders. Oof, that's a tough one to swallow, right? But it hammers home the idea that a team's culture is just a reflection of its leader. Or how about check the ego? It's a critical reminder that humility is actually a strength, not a weakness. And then you get this awesome paradox. Discipline equals freedom. The idea that by setting up clear systems, you're not restricting your team, you're actually giving them the freedom to act and make decisions. This whole framework, this is how you put owning everything into practice.
All right, principles and theories are great, but a story is what makes it hit home. And this next part, this is really the emotional heart of the book. It's where we see extreme ownership in action in its most raw and powerful form. So, let's set the scene. We're in Ramadi, Iraq. We're talking one of the most dangerous, high-stakes environments on the planet at that time. The pressure is just immense. Every single decision could mean life or death. And then, the absolute worst thing that can happen happens. In the middle of all that chaos, the fog of war, a terrible, tragic, friendly fire incident. It's a nightmare scenario for any team, where a moment of confusion leads directly to catastrophe. Now, think about that moment. In the aftermath, when everyone's reeling, the natural human instinct would be to find someone to blame, right? To make excuses, to shift that weight. But the commander, Jocko Willink, he does the exact opposite. He stands in front of his superiors, in front of his team, and with 3 simple words, he takes it all. It's my fault. Just like that, in that one moment, he absorbs the failure of the entire operation. He shields his team from the blame, and in doing so, he builds a level of trust that you could never get from a victory. And that's the point, isn't it? Real leadership isn't about having the title. It's about taking on the accountability, all of it. So that's a powerful story from the battlefield. But how in the world does that apply to, your office job, or a classroom, or even just your family life? Well, the book has this really smart way of bridging that exact gap. See, each chapter is broken down into this really cool 3-part structure. It kicks off with a gripping, high-stakes story from a SEAL mission. Then, out of that real-life experience, they pull out a single, clear leadership principle. And finally, they show you how that exact same principle applies in a real-world business situation. It's brilliant because it makes the lesson stick with you and feel totally practical. And believe me, these applications go way beyond the military or the boardroom. Think about it. In education, it's the difference between a student who just shows up and a student who actually owns their learning. In a company trying to fix its culture, this is the bedrock of that change. Even if you're a creative, an artist, or a writer, it's the discipline and ownership that takes a spark of inspiration and turns it into something real and impactful. So, as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to get that this book is more than just a set of leadership hacks. It's a whole philosophy, a totally different way of thinking about responsibility itself. And this right here is such a powerful idea. True freedom in any team or organization. The ability to make your own calls, to really lead. It's not just handed to you. You have to earn it. And the way you earn it isn't with a fancy title or by being charismatic. The currency of leadership is ownership, plain and simple.
I love this metaphor because it just nails the whole idea. A leader is like a mirror for their team. Whatever you project, they're going to reflect it right back. So if you're deflecting blame, guess what? So will they. But if you own your mistakes, you empower everyone else to rise up and do the same. The entire culture just levels up.
And that really brings us to the final big question. We live in this era that is obsessed with visibility, right? With personal brands, with being seen. But extreme ownership offers a totally different path. It asks a pretty simple but really deep question. In a world that wants you to be visible, are you willing to be responsible? And that choice, that's what defines a true leader. Heck, it's what defines a person of character.